Welcome back, everyone. So, it's our second part of this video series. We're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to start, we're going to take the motor apart. I want to see what that looks like. Before we do that, I got some paint today. This came in the mail. I had to order this online because nobody sells it locally. I got it from Zorro.com. Anyway, this is Acrylic Wick by Krylon. I started really getting into lacquer finishes because it goes on so buttery smooth. It goes on like no enamel I've ever used. But here's the thing. Okay, I went ahead and I did a quick test spray on the motor to see how far off it was from the original paint color, which is kind of like a hunter green. And to gauge that, you kind of have to let it dry because it darkens as it dries. So let me grab some window cleaner. What I want to do is kind of take a look at what it looks like next to the original green. And see how far off it is. Yeah, it's a little off. A little is an understatement. But it doesn't look too bad. Now this is what the original green looks like, and this is what our paint looks like, our lacquer. But if we look inside the base, yeah, so the original green is a lot darker. Now, plenty of folks have actually had custom cans of spray paint made with this original green. Well, that would be ideal. It is very expensive to do it that way, and I just don't have the budget for that right now. So we're not going to do that. Anyway, I'm just not doing that. I know it's the right thing to do, but not going to happen. Okay, I think my local paint shop will charge me around $30 a can, and I need about 4 of them to do the whole fan, or 3 to 4 or so. That's what it would take. Anyway, so let's start by tearing into this motor. Now this one, the split is on the back, so we're going to leave these screws in for now just to keep the stator in place. Oh, what the hell? Let's just take them off. They got to come out anyway. Put my motor screws in this little pan here. Keep them separated. Hey, hey, hey. Anyway, we're going to take these little brass screws out. You don't want to lose these. They're very hard to replace. I'm going to have a hard time finding an original brass shroud screw, but I got to do what I got to do. Unfortunately, one of those is indeed missing, so. But thus far, we have a really good example of an unrestored fan. I didn't mention this in the earlier video, but I couldn't get a clear answer as to whether or not the head badges, the background was painted from the factory on these. And fortunately, because this fan's never been touched, I can see remnants of green paint in the background. So that answers that question. The answer is yes, they were painted, at least for this model year. This is a good motor. I haven't run this thing yet. I just haven't done it, but I know it runs. I have all the faith in the world that it's a good motor. I think we'll be able to restore it. This is a this motor was made before they went to pot metal and stamped motor casings. So in later production years, they went to a pot metal gearbox, and I believe the rear cover of the motor was pot metal, but the rest of it was a stamped steel shell. These are all cast iron. This motor weighs so much. It weighs more than most entire fans. I mean, it's got some heft to it. So we don't want to let this thing fall off the workbench because it would be catastrophic. And And, oh yes, and did I mention that in this one, the oscillator is brass. So this thing is going to look really nice. I mean, really nice when it's done, if I do it right. Should be able, there's a little indent right there. You just take a little screwdriver and be able to split the case very easily. There we go. Are there any more of those? No? I don't think this motor has ever been apart. And here we go. Alright, bearing looks pretty good. No cracks, no... Okay, let's get the rotor out. Now, it's not... it looks like the coil has to come out. It is actually blocking the rotor. So we got to take the whole coil out. Can't get the whole thing apart. That's interesting. I've never had that happen before, and I don't think the front part of this motor comes off either. So, yeah, it's one casting. So that is different. I've never experienced that before. This might be a little bit challenging. That is new. I've never had that happen. Yeah, that's a new one. Never had that happen before. And you don't want to push it, and here's why. Because you'll ruin the, you could potentially nick the enameled wire inside. So I gotta find a way to get this apart. Well, I guess this prevents me from ever doing float shims, at least in the front. How are we gonna do this? Well, there are ways. There are ways. Put it on the bench like this. I gotta find a point where I can poke it with a screwdriver without damaging the coil. So, oh boy, this is gonna be rough. I have never seen this before. Alright, looks like the coil is moving freely without really much effort. At least that's what it looks like. Or, you know what? No, it's not doing what I... No, you know what it's doing? It's pushing these little sheaves. Yeah, we don't want to move those. Alright. Or staves. They're called staves. Well, that's a fine how do you do. Yeah. I haven't seen this before. Yeah, we don't want to push those. That could ram into the enameled wire. Yeah, we don't want to run that risk. So how are we going to do this? Alright, I guess we're just going to do it then. I didn't want to push it through, but it didn't hurt anything in the end, so I guess we're good. Alright. At some point, I do have to find a way to remove this stator without damaging anything. That is the right thing to do. What I could do That's the only way we're going to get it rewired, right? Let's take a look at this rotor. So you can see that it's really gummed up. This thing ran with almost no lubrication for far too long. Float shims are trash. It's only got one in there. Oh no, here's a couple more. Let's see. I'd like to soak this in degreaser for a little while. Now we can get this out. See how that interfaces with the it's okay. Yeah, I think that's all right. You'll notice I pointed this out earlier, but the worm gear is worn very thin in the middle. This is definitely a sign of lack of lubrication for many, many decades. It is definitely from just little to no maintenance for so long that all the grease, all the oil just hardened. And I mean, it's not the end of the world for this motor. It's got plenty of life left in it, probably another 100 years. I mean, you got to remember, this thing is 98 years old. So it has tons of life left in it still. It's not, that's the miraculous thing about it. This thing has probably been used, for a long time. It'll see, this fan, this is the thing. This fan could easily survive long enough to see the fall of humanity. I mean, we're in the middle of it now. Fucking cheap-ass nails. Did we get it right? Good enough. You know, that's what GE stands for, my friends. Good enough. That's what GE, that's what it means. With no General Electric guy, no. It was just good enough. Just get it out the door. Good enough. Good enough. Good enough, folks. Good enough. I feel like I'm gonna beat this poor thing up. How far are we? Oh, we're almost there. Almost there. Is it too far for our jiggity jig? No, the jiggity jig will still jiggity jig jig jig. And we're gonna get it out. Not to worry. See, it's a little cockeyed. How much more travel did we give ourselves? I think I can almost get it out the rest of the way with this thing. Done. We didn't damage anything in the process. I'd say that's a good day. Got a little bit of blood on me. All right, so the wires for the stator are routed through here and out this way. And they're held there with a little bit of, oh wow, this wire is so bad. Looks like they're enameled in position, but I think we can pull them out. Pretty sure we can do it. But this wire is NFG. So, okay, we got something to work on there. Now as for the motor housing, again, a good degreasing, a little bit of, I'm going to use oven cleaner to degrease this. It works really well, and it might even remove some of our paint. What really strikes me as odd is that somebody painted this gray at some point. Why, I don't know. It really baffles the mind. Now, from the factory, it doesn't look like there were any grommets here. Nothing fell out, but that doesn't mean there was no grommet there. I'm going to probably put one in anyway. We'll save this. I might use this for something. Put it up in the rafters or some crap like that. I might need it again in the future. So there's that. Okay. My hands look like this now. Alright. Okay. The rest of this looks like good serviceable iron. So we'll put that aside. I'm not ready to do paint work today. I'm going to have to get some paint stripper. And but maybe we'll put everything in easy off to get some of the degreasing started. And yeah. Now I want to try to polish one of these blades and see how it comes out. That's what I want to do now. So, little side note, I was finally indoctrinated into the AFCA Facebook group. So if you are a member of the AFCA Facebook group, you will be able to see some of my postings there. But for the most part, I'm going to be keeping the updates on this on the channel. So, let's get ourselves set up with a little bit of buffing equipment. I'm going to be using my trusty, by the way, look, you know, it seems like politics have worked their way into the shop as well. You're either on the yellow team, which is DeWalt, the red team, which is, well, it could be Milwaukee, but it also could be Craftsman, two completely different products, but or, you know, the blue team, which is, it was Makita, but, well, aquamarine or turquoise is Makita, but bright blue or dark blue, that's Cobalt. That's Lowe's house brand. Or you're in Team Gray. Maybe you're Team Gray. Maybe you've got Porter Cable. Yeah, Porter Cable. Yeah, yes. Green, that was Hitachi, but now it's Metabo. And then you're in, what is it? What's the other one? Orange, Team Orange. Isn't that like Home Depot's Rigid brand, I think it is? So yes, we have political parties and tools. I am a Team Yellow. I am a DeWalt man through and through. I've been using DeWalt tools since I was probably in my early 20s, when I could afford my very first DeWalt screw gun. I was in my early 20s, and I loved that screw gun so much, I bought 3 more, and I still have 3 of them. So I had 4, now I got 3. I got them like for every place where I work. I have one of those. Just kicking around. I cannot say enough about this DeWalt screw gun. Drill. This is just a hand drill. Hand drill. Like power drill. Whatever. Anyway, I can't say enough about this drill. It is, honestly, I have put this thing through torture. I rebuilt this whole house with this drill. and it just goes and goes and goes. I've dropped this thing from 10 feet high onto a concrete floor, and it still kicks. The batteries, it's got DeWalt's, the 20 volt pack, 2 amp hour, 40 watt hour. This thing charges immediately. I mean, it takes like 20 minutes to charge this stupid thing. That's it. 20 minutes, maybe. I can't believe how fast it charges. It's just a damn good drill. It's starting to break apart, though. It's starting to show its age. Where did I see? It was starting to crack up somewhere in the handle, probably from one of the many drops. But I know I saw some stress cracks on here. But I bought this the day I closed on this house. That's when I bought it. After I left the realtor's office, I drove over to Lowe's and I just started piling tools into a cart. I bought this thing. I bought a reciprocating saw, a DeWalt reciprocating saw. I bought an air compressor. I bought a DeWalt air compressor that I had delivered. I couldn't fit it in my car. I bought hand tools. I've just started loading shit up. Sanders and everything I bought was DeWalt, and so far I do not regret that decision. Good stuff. This is not a commercial. They're not paying me to say any of this, but when I see a good product, I will tell others, because that's how we get recommendations for things. I mean, this thing is not pretty anymore, not by a stretch, but it works, and it keeps on working, and it won't die, and I hope it never does. I will run this thing until it is completely demolished. Oh, it was a battery pack that got a crack in it. Yeah, but came with 2 packs and a case. I don't even think you can buy them with cases anymore. I don't know why they don't do that. But anyway, enough about that. We're gonna do, I've got this. So this is the one that I use to polish the aluminum blades, and it is impregnated with aluminum all over the place. So we're not going to use that. We're going to use a new one. And I'm going to polish one of the blades that doesn't have any lacquer on it anymore. The other 2 still have a little bit of lacquer on them. And I'm going to use, this is the Harbor Freight buffing kit. It comes with 2 buffing wheels and Jeweler's Rouge red and white. We're going to use the red because that is for brass, I believe. And the only difference is the color. I think it's the same basic formula. The stuff is hard as a rock. I'll show you how to load this thing up. I'm putting my drill on high speed, and they're going to kind of buff out some of the loose fibers. Okay. You want to load this thing up like this. Kind of give it to it. Like that. Okay, here we go. See if she'll take a shine. Of course she will. Might have to do something a little more aggressive. Maybe maybe a chemical shine with because I'm gonna wear out my buffing wheel if I keep doing that. So let's do some Brasso. Now Brasso uses chemicals and a little bit of some rubbing compounds to bring the shine back to brass. But as soon as you get it on there, you're going to notice that it immediately begins to shine up the blades. I think there's an acidity. Yeah, you can see where I drew it on there. What this stuff is going to do is it's going to chemically remove some of the oxidization. I believe it's acidic, but it's a bit of a time saver because we don't have to buff through all that oxidization, and if we don't really have to. So we'll just put it on a couple of blades here. Now these still have, that's why they're so shiny, they still have the original lacquer on them, which we have to remove with acetone or paint stripper. So kind of let that chill for a bit. But you'll start to see a pretty quick transformation here as I buff these by hand. It really just takes the tarnish right off. Now, if you're doing this and you've got, you don't know you have brass plated blades, that's plated steel, you may find that you buff right through the plating, which could be not so great. But, well, that's a start. But you got to get. Now you want to watch out for the edge of the blade. You don't want this wheel to cut to get caught on the edge of the blade, and you could bend it that way. I'm going to redress the wheel. Yeah, now we're starting to get somewhere. Now we're getting there. You can see where the Brasso did most of its work. Just like that. Here, we'll go in this direction to prevent that. You know, on second thought, it might make more sense to actually attack it with quad zero steel wool, just to really break through this tarnish, which is really bad. This helps to clean the wheel. Remember, you got to do this a total of 8 times. Got to do the backs too. We're getting there, but that right there, that's, you know, really, wow. You want to avoid, but that was just one blade, and it's, now you take the brasso to it. See what that does for us. Now you take your brasso and just kind of do it all by hand. So we've just taken off so much. Just kind of work it into the metal there. Look at that. I can see it now. It's really starting to shine up. And once we're done with this blade, we could coat it with lacquer. Now, when I restored my 1919 AOU fan, that is exactly what I did. I didn't have the drill or the buffing compound. I didn't do any of that. I did it by hand with steel wool and brasso. Once I was done, I coated it, but it never really looked that great. It had a lot of fine whirl marks and scratches from the steel wool, which I didn't really like. But let's now buff it clean. And now look at it. Oh, you can't see shit. Now look at it. Isn't that great? Picture that. There's a lot of scratching on this blade. I don't know where that's from, but it was on there before. It's on all the blades. There's like a deep scratching going on here. It's almost as if somebody might have refinished these at one point and did a shitty job. Really shitty job. But it's kind of pockmarked and a lot of deep scratches. I don't know how that could have ever happened. It kind of boggles my mind, to be honest with you. But that is a polished blade. The only way to get it any better is if I were to remove a lot of material, which I don't want to do. But that's kind of the look I'm going for. Thoughts? All right. So next up, I'm going to polish the blade off camera. I'm not gonna film that, but now you get an idea as to what I'm doing process-wise and how I'm gonna get it done. And it's a lot of work. Somebody's got to do it, right? So I'm going to do the whole blade. And once I have that done, I'm going to put it on the drill press, and I'm going to get this blade straightened out exactly the same way I did with the Vortilex. This will be a lot easier. If you watch my Vortilex, 1949 GE Vortilex video, you'll see how I did that. And it worked really well. That fan runs great. So I'm going to do that to this. There's one dent in the blade, and it's right here. It's pretty much inevitable. I'm not going to be able to work that dent out. And I don't want to sand anything because I don't want to remove any material which could throw the blade off balance. But yeah, I'd love to know what happened to this poor blade. But we'll bring her back to life, just like the rest of this fan. So in my next video, I plan on doing, we're gonna dunk some parts into evaporust, and we're going to, I want to remove the data plate. Maybe we can do that now. I want to find a way to remove this data plate without damaging the rivets, because I want to reuse them. So I'm going to take this little tiny screwdriver, and we're just going to see if we can't knock the rivets out from the back. And because this whole thing is getting dunked in the evaporust. I'm going to use a small little tack hammer. This is not how you use tools. This is not the right tool for the job. But it is the tool I have. It's the only thing I got that will fit in that tiny asshole. And hopefully we can get these rivets removed safely. So far, nothing. No. No, no, no. What about if I sacrifice an old drill bit? I've got plenty of older bits I can maybe sacrifice and use them as a ram. That's going to happen. We might have to do something a little different with this one. We might have to just mask it off. What we're gonna do, it's not how I want to do this, but we'll buff this nice and clean. I'm gonna do some homework and see if there's a way to remove this data plate safely without ruining anything. In the meantime, I'm going to plan on masking. We're going to polish it first, and then I'm going to lacquer the whole. I'm going to put some lacquer on it so it stays polished. Then I'm going to mask it off, and then we'll do the rest of the prep work. We'll paint the base, then peel the tape off. That might have been how I did the loop handle. What am I saying? This is a loop handle. The 1919, the Form V5 I had. So we'll probably give that a try. I don't know of any other way to remove this tag. I don't want to... This isn't one of those cases where I can just drill these rivets out or cut them off and replace them with pop rivets. That's just not going to happen here. So anyway, we'll do some paint work in the next video, do some evaporust, do some cleaning, degreasing, and we'll get that, hopefully get that motor prepped for paint. It's gonna be an action-packed video. I can't wait. So, stay tuned. Have a good one.